In the gospel passage, Jesus, gives us an example of the importance of persistence in prayer. Given kind of an analogy to a friend who, now the words use persistence, but I think we can substitute persistence with annoyance, where the guy keeps begging at midnight, and just to get rid of him, he finally gives him what he's asked for. And so from that analogy, Jesus then says, well, if you know how to give good gifts, how much more will your Father, and here's the key here, how much more will the Father in heaven give the Holy Spirit to those that ask him? The gift of the Holy Spirit. So it's not necessarily given whatever we want, but it's given really what we need, which is really everything. God's own divine life, the Holy Spirit. And so with that in mind, the gift of the Holy Spirit, now let's look at the first reading as we continue on in Galatians. Right here is the perfect example of what I told you yesterday, that this is probably one of St. Paul's most angriest, frustrating letters. He starts off, "Oh, stupid Galatians." You can just see the frustration. What's he getting so upset about? St. Paul can't seem to make sense of why the people are going backwards. It's maybe another analogy of what St. Paul's dealing with. Maybe something from my own life. My grandma made the best meatballs, and yet my little sister, when we were younger, preferred the meatballs out of the SpaghettiOs can. That's kind of what St. Paul's dealing with here. You have this great gift, you have these great meatballs, and yet you prefer the commercial in a can crap, okay? And the people have the gift of the Holy Spirit. They have the power of the Holy Spirit, and yet they're so focused in on what to eat and performing the right cleaning rituals and making sure everybody's circumcised and following every other little bit of the law and worrying about it and fighting among it. And St. Paul, you received the gift of the Holy Spirit through your faith in Jesus Christ, that God became man, that God suffered, died, and rose from the dead, gives his gift, the Holy Spirit, which fulfills the law. And yet you want to go back to that. And St. Paul can't seem to kind of wrap his mind around that. Did you experience these things in vain? Does then the one who supplied the Spirit to you and works mighty deeds among you do so from the works of the law or from the faith that you have heard? And, to kind of wrap this up, put it this way here. I'm always going to try to be as polite and respectful as I can. But I think it's something worth saying here. We have Catholics. In our Catholic faith, we have the sacraments, where we receive the Spirit. We have the Eucharist, and yet people leave that to go to a more simpler version of Christianity. They leave the power of the Spirit, where you receive the Spirit, where you receive grace. And yet they rather go to where they can make friends, or where they like the homilies or the sermons, or it's backwards. It's backwards, and sometimes it's even frustrating for me to watch. How can you leave the Eucharist? How can you leave the Spirit? But they do, and I guess people are looking for other things rather than a full relationship with God the Father and Jesus Christ. They're looking for other things. And I can probably say that the Galatians here in this letter also looking for other things. What do you want? Do you want the Spirit? If you want the Spirit, it's here. Ask for it. May God bless you.